It seems to be that whatever the Hello Kitty brand touches turns to gold. That tiny little cat can be slapped onto pretty much anything and automatically start siphoning money. But once in a while, even the most monumental of brands have some duds. And one absolutely bizarre dud is Hello Kitty and Sanrio Friends Racing. When I say bizarre, I truly mean bizarre. I have not an inkling on how this game actually ever released. Not only because of the game itself, but more so because of the developers of the game. Now, I'm not trying to crap on these devs whatsoever, so please keep that in mind as I go over the company behind the game. A group known as Scarab Entertainment are the fellas behind the game, and if that doesn't ring a bell, I don't blame you. Let's quickly look through their previous games before the development of Hello Kitty and Sanrio Friends Racing. It looks like they made nothing before this game. Yep, that's right, literally nothing. Somehow, these lads over at Scarab Entertainment managed to get the license to one of the most iconic IPs in the world without ever even having made a game before. How did this happen? Like actually, how did Sanrio allow a brand spanking new company to obtain their license to such a beloved IP? Equally as crazy is that this company only ever made 2 games, Hello Kitty Racing and a mobile Endless Runner game for Razer, shortly after the release of Hello Kitty Racing. So yeah, this is all insanely bizarre, but what is the actual game like? Perhaps this up-and-coming company managed to knock it out of the park for their first attempt. I mean, it is Hello Kitty after all, surely they went above and beyond to make it great. Well then, let's look at the game. There are 3 versions of the game. One for Wii U, simply called Hello Kitty Cruisers with Sanrio Friends. A 3DS version titled Hello Kitty and Sanrio Friends 3D Racing. And then the PC version, which takes out the 3D and is titled Hello Kitty and Sanrio Friends Racing. Strangely enough, a Switch version was later released, but with the naming format of the Wii U version. When you load up the game and you select the number of players, you're met with 3 play options. Play Now, Contests in Happy Lands, and Adventures with Sanrio Friends. Play Now is simply your jump into any course and play option, whereas Contests in Happy Lands, with its very strange name, is the mode where you play through different cups. Adventures with Sanrio Friends is a different mode where you're given very simple and brain-rotting objectives to complete on endlessly recycled maps, but let's save that for later. For now, we'll jump into the Cups mode, or the Tours, as this game calls it, so we can really see what the game has to offer. When loading into the course, we can immediately notice that, hey, this game doesn't actually look too bad. The visuals are all made in a style that complement the simple and cute aesthetic of the characters. Also, the UI is completely passable, no problems there whatsoever. Everything is easily legible and has a clean look. The real problems start to unfold when you play the game. Steering and handling is not just lackluster, but actually quite terrible. Moving your car feels like you're trying to steer a wheelbarrow full of Discord moderators. Heavy, clunky, and downright annoying the entire time. But don't worry, there's a drift. A drift that seems to be more of a hindrance than just steering the car. Every time you initiate a drift, your vehicle just sort of shoots off in a giant arc and makes an even wider berth around a corner than just steering the car normally. To top it off, there's no advantage to drifting. You don't receive any sort of boost for holding a drift like you do in most other kart racers. I can completely understand the idea of no speed boost from a drift, considering this is 100% a children's game, and adding mechanics only makes things more complicated for them, but the drift in itself is a hindrance to any kid trying to play this game, so they could have given some sort of benefit to the terrible drifting at the very least. As you continue to clunkily steer around the course, you'll encounter question blocks like you do in every kart racer. These will give you a couple of different items: cupcakes that act as green shells, traffic cones that act as banana peels, a shield that only seems to be effective as a kamikaze weapon as you run into other racers with it, a rainbow that works just like a bullet bill except you don't damage other racers, speed boosts that are identical to mushrooms, and finally an alarm clock that slows other players when you use it. I've never actually seen the alarm clock item when playing through the game, but I've had it used against me plenty of times. Items can be held behind you like in Mario Kart, but I don't think you can actually toss items in front of you or behind you at your leisure. I say I don't know because setting up the controls for this game was harder than the actual game. And on that note, you'll very rarely ever find yourself losing the race, which is fine. Again, it's a kid's game. It needs to be easy. Now that we have the fundamentals down, I want to talk about courses. Through all 4 tours, there are a total of 16 courses. As you progress through the tours, you'll unlock more courses and characters as well as some new karts. 16 may sound like a decent amount, but there's a little caveat to that number. There's actually about 5 particular areas. A town area, beach, snowy area, forest, and of course a Rainbow Road space zone. And all the courses are very, very, very minutely adjusted from these 5 locations to stretch it over 16 courses. You'll feel like you've raced the same course about 96 times by the time you actually finish all 4 tours. Each course also tends to be mind-numbingly bland in design. A few turns, a couple speed boosts, and then you're done, which adds to the monotony of it all. One thing they do to attempt to shake things up is using different vehicle types, kinda like in Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. But instead of swapping vehicle types, they're just separate courses. And oh boy, if you thought the regular kart handling was bad, wait until you feel the wrath of the plane. Moving the plane in any direction seems to take 5 to 7 business days and feels like you're trying to turn an actual plane. It may be the most realistic plane simulation movement to date. The worst part is it feels like on some of the plane courses they actually attempted to add some sort of obstacles to dodge, so you have to stressfully steer this 10,000 pound hunk of metal through the sky, disguised as a cute cat having fun. If you're not someone who steers their whole body to move in a game, this one might convert you. The boat, on the other hand, actually isn't too terrible. Don't get me wrong, it's far from good, but it's much more manageable than the plane, and dare I say it, can sometimes feel a little fun to maneuver. If all of this doesn't sound miserable enough, this game is just super janky in general. Oftentimes your kart won't even be touching the road beneath, or you'll actually be clipping entirely through the road under you. In the boat courses especially, you just kinda clip heavily under the water. In one of the foresty type areas of the game that you visit many, many times, pretty much all the assets on the level will sorta just kinda float above the ground and be extremely obvious. Not really something you can miss while QA testing. Also, when ascending hills, your kart never actually just follows a path up a hill. It's almost as if you're driving up a set of large stairs. Another funny thing to note is that in one of these courses, I actually found an invisible wall and almost all of the AI got stuck on the wall. In any of the courses that are more than just a simple couple turns, the AI can't handle it whatsoever and will sometimes just sort of go backwards or drive directly into a wall for the duration of the race. There's so many of these odd, janky touches that really add to that I made this game using $75 and help from my neighbor Ted vibe that it has going on. Now, before we conclude everything, we still have yet to delve into the Adventures with Sanrio Friends mode. Just hold with me, okay? Your suffering will end soon. This mode consists of 20 objective-based races that recycle pre-existing courses. Amongst these 20 missions, I say very liberally, there are only 4 objectives that are recycled over and over and over again. One of them is just finishing a lap quickly, another makes you collect a certain amount of cupcakes on the course, then one is collecting 100 apples that all seem to kinda be thrown around the courses without any care in the world. And finally, a classic drive or fly through all the rings objective. These are all just extremely boring, but I would at least make an honorable mention for the apple collecting stages and say that those are just straight up terrible. Doing these missions will grant you the next mission, and you'll also unlock new characters, cars, boats, and planes, all of these being strictly cosmetic. At the very least, the designs of the cosmetics do at least fit the aesthetic of Hello Kitty nicely. And there we have it. That's Hello Kitty and Sanrio Friends Racing, possibly the worst kart racing game you can play. Such a bizarre game on all fronts. The fact that it was licensed to a new developer, Sanrio's allowance of its release, and the absolute state of this poor thing. When it all comes down to it, if nothing else, you can at least unlock and play as Cinnamoroll, the #1 Sanrio character. If you've ever had the misfortune of playing this game, please let me know in the comments below. I love reading everyone's comments, and odds are I'll reply. Thanks for watching the video, and hey, if you enjoyed it, a like and subscription help out a ton. Plus, they're free. So long.